Hi everyone, I'm Miss Chris, and over the years I have inherited a ton of metal straight needles that were from other people's families. My family, I don't use them anymore. I really just stick to circular needles. These I have when I'm teaching people how to knit or that are joining the knitting group here. That way, if they don't have any materials, they have stuff to start with. But I do have ones with no matches. This one is clearly preemptively mangled. I have a high tension. So I'm going to show you how to repurpose some of these and turn them into these cute little stamped metal bracelets. That way you can add your own flair or just show off that you really love knitting. They're great. They're super cute. They show how much you love knitting. You can wear them to any of our knitting groups throughout the system. There's one here at Island Heights. We also have them in other branches as well. I learned how to knit from my family, but I got really good at knitting by joining a knitting group and working with people that were much better than me and were willing to take the time to help me out. So I'm passing that along. Also, if you're going to New Jersey Sheep Wool or Rhinebeck that are coming up, you can show off not just your Rhinebeck sweater, but also your cute handmade bracelet. So let's get started since I have plenty of needles to make mistakes and a willingness to do so. I'm placing a granite sample on top of the table directly in line with the leg, so there is extra support when I'm hitting everything with a hammer. Most metal stamping kits come with a metal base to work on, but mine didn't, so I'm using what I had on hand instead. Now I'm using the hammer to flatten out the knitting needle on both sides. I like the cute little button top, so I'm going to leave it on and just leave it the way it is. I'm using two different types of needles to see what the difference makes between the two of them. The older antique needle is definitely a softer aluminum, and you can tell it has all these extra dents and also is a rougher shape to begin with. But we've got like more texture on this one. With the newer vintage needle, I'm using a piece of felt as a cloth, so that way there's less abrasion on the aluminum to keep it smoother and looking nicer. The next step is using metal stamps to stamp a phrase onto the knitting needle. You only really get one chance at this, so make sure that you don't move the stamp and hit hard. You can hit it twice, but do not lift it up and then try and realign it. It's going to have like a ghost shadow of what you originally stamped, and it never works out well. Once everything is stamped, I'm doing two different versions, one using just acrylic paint, going over all the letters, and then wiping it off with a tissue, and then a wet wipe. On my newer vintage needle, I'm using Sharpie, coloring over it, and then wiping it off with a wet wipe that has alcohol in it. Because rubbing alcohol will take up Sharpie, so I'm just lightly going over it to get all the excess. Once everything is dried, I'm shaping it into the bangle. I'm using a bracelet clamp, which is curved specifically to do this, but there are other things that you can use. Back when I used to make like utensil and toothbrush bracelets, I would use a rolling pin to shape them instead. You could also try and, as I was hammering it, you could see how it was curving. Use a hammer and a pair of pliers to really encourage that curve that I wanted to do as well.